Good morning, everyone. Today is July the 9th, 2022. It is 8 o'clock in the morning where I am. It's not just where I am, it's where you are. That's important. And then I got all my friends here, so hold on. Let me see if I can get that to work. Let's go to that view. Hello, friends.
Hello.
I sang a little tune while I was walking the other day, and it sounded, there's this Jewish, classical Jewish prayer kind of song where it's you sing a song, but you don't use the words. You sing yai da da die die yai die die, which is just nonsense syllables. And I found myself singing the following song. I found myself singing this one. Hold on 1 second. There we go. I found myself singing this one. Yai da 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 yai da 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 yai da 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 yai da 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 yai da 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 da.
Mr. Rogers.
I thought Mr. Rabbi's neighborhood seemed about appropriate for what it is that we do here. So I want to welcome all of you, Alex and Scott and Joe, Maria and Meg and Amy and Harold and Karen, Rags, Ron, Finn, Patricia and Mason and Stephen and Emily and Ann and Derek and Joan and Sam and Sari and Jack and Charlene and Ginny, Eileen, Jess, Ray, Patty, Ellis, Bob, Jim, Barb, Chad, Lisa, Candace, Bruce, Jordan, Juan. Oh, hi, Juan. Diane and everyone else who's joining us later, our friends Helen and Anne and my friend Sabrina and my friend Aubrey and all the people who are just watching. I'm glad that you're here. Welcome to this little neighborhood of sorts. I'm Rabbi Brian. For a little bit of a background, I'm an ordained rabbi who decided at some point that we had to get the order right, that it couldn't be that you had to learn Hebrew in order to have a more holy, a more blessed life, that the entry level has got to be just at ground level, that there's nothing special any of us need to know to claim our full spiritual religious lives, that God, if there is a God in some forgive me for using the word if it strikes your ear difficult, but that God, and I'm using the word metaphorically here, that God could only put the treasure map in one place that makes sense, and that where the treasure map has to be is within and part of each of us. It doesn't make sense any other way to me. And so I'm glad to run this service. This morning, I apparently have the COVID. I took the test. Jane had it on last Sunday, and I took the test on Tuesday, and then I wound up. Anyone ever do this one where you say, "Oh, that's a really thin positive line. It's not really COVID. That's barely COVID."
Just went through that.
And it reminded me of a 5-letter acronym that I haven't shared with us for a while, but if you might remember this one. Give me a show of hands or say the word aloud if you remember those letters. Dabda. Yeah. Dabda was, it's based on the work of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and often people think of them as the stages of grief. And I'm fascinated by the footnotes of history, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do you know Maslow didn't come up with them as a hierarchy of needs? He came up with them as of places to go on the way towards transcendence. he didn't call it Maslow's hierarchy of needs. A business coach came up with calling it the pyramid of the way that we all see it. And this dabbed the stages of grief. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross never calls it the stages of grief. That's just what we've come up with calling it. They're really the stages towards acceptance. And we don't all hit all of them all the time, but I want to take a moment for us to look at, I don't know, maybe the idea of having COVID and leading towards acceptance. That it's handy to know that there are some stages that we might hit on the way towards acceptance. And if you think about anything that's unresolved in your life at this moment, think about anything unresolved in your life, it might have followed this pattern. And I'm going to show you the pattern. The pattern goes like this, that the first thing is denial. I don't have COVID. I don't have COVID. That's a thin little line. That's just the test showing that I have COVID. I used to teach this to my students when I taught high school. And I'd say, the English teacher says you have an essay that's due, and you say, no, there's no way, we can't do that essay. And then you say, oh, screw you, man. You're the worst teacher ever. I can't believe you're giving me this essay. Or I don't owe any business taxes to the government. Screw the government. I don't have COVID. Shit, I have COVID. Then we tend to go to this one. Bargaining. Well, it's not that bad. I'll do a staycation with my family. Mandatory forced quarantine. Do you guys remember we all did quarantine for a while? And I was stuck with these people in my house for months and it didn't seem so bad. But now that I've tasted freedom and
Or is it that they were stuck with you in the house?
Ray, no. She is lucky. Yeah, it's a bit of bargaining for all of us. It's a little bit of bargaining for all of us of, we all get to spend some extra time together. So denial, anger, bargaining, depression. It hits us like a ton of bricks for a while. And finally, we get towards acceptance. And acceptance often happens in two stages, that we start with the acceptance just mentally in our minds. And then finally we get to, that's supposed to be an arrow, mind, and then we get to acceptance in our hearts. So before we continue on, I'll just take a moment for you to consider whatever it is that you're unresolved within your heart right now, that you'd like to be, if you could, you'd like to be at acceptance with it. And just take a moment to think that thing about which you would love to have acceptance. Are you at the d, a, b, d part of that right now?
I feel like that a little bit.
I don't know where I am,
And
Rabbi Brown, but I'm still trying to get in to see you properly. And I've got something stuck on my computer that won't go away.
Well, we see you, Joy, and I'm glad that you're here. Glad to see you again. Let's take a moment as we begin off this service this morning with a little bit of a land acknowledgement of where it is. I'm in the traditional lands of the Clackamas peoples. And if you are got animals happening around here, that's all right. If you change your name to show where it is, what land that you're on, or if you take a moment to tell us if you've done a little bit of research, and if you've not ever done it, it's an interesting thing to do, is to go to native-land.ca, native-land.ca, and you can find out whose land you're currently on. And I'll take a moment. I see people have changed the names on their screens to reflect where they are.
I can't spell Nansemina Picatan.
Well, thank you for telling us where you are, and let's take another.
Still in Walmer's tribe. Still in Walmer's tribe.
That's where you are, Emily. Thank you for saying. Thank
I
you.
think as far as Shetland's concerned and Britain, we've had so many different changes over the last 2,000 years.
Yeah.
I don't know who was originally here at all.
Well, take a look and see what you can find, and see if where you are is historically not yours. It's a little sobering to do. Okay, I'm going to start us this morning with I picked up a cordless vacuum yesterday because I made challah. Make every Friday night I make a challah, and I spilled some baking soda. I boil the challah and I make a little pretzel-y kind of crust on my challah. I get very fancy about it. But I spilled my baking soda, which I need in the water to boil the any which way. And I was using my cordless vacuum, and I thought, these things are pretty awesome. Because I remember the cordless vacuum that I had in 1990, somewhere around there in college, and it wasn't really that good. And I have this little mini cordless vacuum now, which is pretty awesome. And I'm just trying to look at people's faces here. Anyone else enjoy their cordless vacuum? I've got a few people.
I don't have one, but I like the idea.
You like the idea of a cordless vacuum? And I thought, well, are there other things? Oh, also, I very cheekily, I was talking to a customer representative on the phone, and they said, sorry, the computer's having a little bit of a hard time right now. It's working slowly. And I said, because I'm funny, I said, well, you know, those computers, they don't make them like they used to. And I want to take a moment and there's a word on the screen, gratitude. The cordless vacuum cleaners are amazing compared to what they were 10 years ago. Computers nowadays, phones nowadays. Tell me some other things that we have a bit of gratitude for, technology-wise, something that's a little better now than it used to be 5-10 years ago.
I do math on a slide rule.
You don't have to use a slide rule. We have calculators. We have really cool electronics for that. What else you got? Zoom. That's a great answer. Tell me what else are you thankful for? A little gratitude.
An internet that works. The internet went down all across Canada yesterday.
Yeah, Canada was out for a little while. Cell phones.
Very cool cell phones.
Cell phones. So we'll take a moment to be grateful for cell phones and for internet that's stable and works.
Espresso machines.
And espresso machines. We didn't used to have espresso machines. I mean, not like we do now. That's pretty cool. What else are we appreciative of?
Air conditioner.
Air conditioners. Amen. Let's get 3 or 4 more. What else?
My breath to continue on my journey.
Your breath. The technology of breathing has not changed much, but the fact that you're aware of your breathing, that part can be new. I'll give you that. Let's take 2 more. 2 more little
electronic cigarettes.
Yes, having a mobility scooter.
Yeah, mobility scooter and being able to vape. I didn't think I would say that one aloud, but why not? I want us to take a moment and to realize what happens. This is just neurologically in our heads. What happens when we take a moment and we acknowledge the things that we enjoy? We take a moment for gratitude and just notice what that does to your psyche. When you start looking for, oh, here's something that's better than it used to be. I dare say it's a little revolutionary and it's almost countercultural.
You're such a revolutionary.
Yeah. I'm going to suggest that we have the ability to have a little bit more gratitude just by choosing to. So I'm going to start us with a little bit of gratitude, and
Gratitude is an attitude.
yes, very cool, very cool.
Yeah. I'm very grateful for charging units that actually get things moving, like the cordless vacuum cleaner and the iPad that I'm on at the moment.
We do have a lot to be
My
thankful
phone.
for. Thank you, Joy, for reminding us. We have a lot to be thankful for, and it's difficult. Difficult might not be the right word, but there's something about having gratitude that it's not our default setting always. So ask us hold on to that. We're going to take a purposefully silent minute in a moment. And before we do our purposefully silent minute, I'll ask our friend Joe to read out some names of some thoughts. And if you would like to get a name onto this list, to please put an email to Joe, or to go into the clubhouse, mn.rotb.org, and find our listing there, mn.rotb.org. Joe, go ahead, read us the list, would you please?
I would be honored. Frankie D, Kathleen, Eileen, Eloise, Athena, Adam, Evelyn, Jack A, Betty A, Alex, Diane, Francis Maria, Carol, Michael, Leanne, Lauren B, Lauren L, Mary H, Christine M, Kip, Marilyn G, Amy, Betsy M, Rita S, April, Emily, Peggy Brown, Ken Ludwig, Greta Vosper, Patty and Ray Jones, Vashti Ross, Rabbi Brian, Jean, Annie Emmett, Marilyn Wilson, and any people suffering today.
Well, let's take a minute, and we'll start right up here when it gets to 8:18. We'll take a minute of silence. Well, thank you guys for that minute. If you are new and there's a chat that's going on, there's a chat feature. If you're on Facebook or watching this later on YouTube, you can make comments. I'll see them later. If you are live on Facebook, you can make comments. I can see those live. And if you're in the Zoom room, you can make comments and chats there. If it's your first time, there should usually be a welcome message in that chat. I hope there is. And I thank Joe and Maria and Alex, who are always there to help me to make the chat work and to make the technologies all happen. Okay, I want to talk today about, so I have a bit of COVID, and I'm feeling at 83 to 87% fine. I don't feel great. I just don't feel great. And I wanted to talk about 83 to 87% fine. Because I don't want to feel 83 to 87% fine. I want to feel great, but I don't. And I challenged myself this week to run a service that was 83% fine. And I bet you're okay with that.
Yep.
Sure.
I'm going to just look at your faces right now to make sure.
Yep. Take 83%.
Can I say a show of hands because it's a little easier? It's okay for me to be at 83 to 87% fine. Now keep your hand up if it's okay for you to be at 83 to 87% fine. Look at those hands drop off. All right.
Wow.
Wake yet.
Right? Okay. That's
Better than 25.
Yeah, it's better than 20. So this is the question that I have. We're okay with me bringing it in at 83 to 87% fine. And you're all like, nah, Rabbi, it's all right. Take it easy. That's okay. You don't have to be perfect. This is, it's all right. But when we put the shoe on the other foot and I ask you to assess yourself, are you okay dialing it in at 83 to 87% fine? The hands that were like this went, well, I want us to talk a moment about that. Go ahead, Charlene.
I'm that way this week, which is unusual for me, but I moved my parents from Barrie, Ontario to Waterloo, Ontario. And they came on June 28th, and they were to move into their new apartment July 5th. On July 5th, my dad died took his last breath just before noon.
Oh my.
And then at 2:00, I moved my mother into her new apartment.
Oh wow.
So the whole week has been sort of an 83%. And it's humbling, but I'm so glad you have this. I could hardly wait for the Saturday service.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to embrace that 83%.
Well, Charlene, I think we're all willing to extend to you like a 41% would be fine.
Yes.
Amen. Surreal week. Surreal.
Amen.
Surreal
Amen.
week. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for being human enough to know that it's all right to not be, golly gee, isn't my Instagram all perfect? Isn't that?
Life is wonderful.
Yeah, it's not. It's rough. Charlene, thank you so much for sharing.
She hasn't
Alex,
done anything or been out.
say it again, Steve.
Sorry.
Oh, was that? Okay, that's all. We're all still learning the technology. Alex, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Well, for me, it is a lot less about how I feel and more about how I perform. Right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm good with. Well, I'm not good. I mean, you know, I'd rather feel great all the time too. But you know, for me, you know, I have very high expectations about what I do. My expectations about how I feel or how I feel about things can be pretty low, but I have a very high standard of performance for myself. And I get angry at myself, not when I'm feeling bad, but when I'm feeling bad and I'm not able to perform at the level that I expect.
Yeah, that's a great distinction to make. I'm not, I can't argue with my physicality. I can't argue with the fact that I'm a little peaked. Hey, guess what? I have COVID. I'm a little peaked. Like, yeah, I get that. But it's the performance part. Here, I'll show you if I get this. Hold on to your screen for a second. That is not the screen I meant to show you.
It's lovely though.
This is the outline that I had on June 25th. What I thought the service was going to look like. June 25th proposed. Here's today's.
Yes.
There's much less to it.
Yeah,
I don't feel well, so I'm only able to do so much, and I guess my challenge for me and for all of us is, can we just be all right with not producing great works?
Sari and Jack have hands up.
Go ahead, Sari, and then Jack.
I just want to bring together two things that have been said. One is the Instagram idea and the performance idea. Instagram is actually just showing your performance. To Alex's point, it seems that most people want to project to the outside world strong performance, and and to your point, that's what they're posting on Instagram. The highlights, the positives.
Yeah, and what would it be like if we posted, I'm having a shitty day? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be so? I mean, I not to put myself on a pedestal here, but isn't it nice to know that I'm allowing myself to have a hard time, which then gives you permission to have a hard time too? And
or give you a hug.
And you don't want to hug me. I have COVID. I'm going to go with Jack and then Joy. But could you think of it? Hug. I'll take the virtual hug. Can you think of it as a service to other people, of not doing well, of not saying that you're doing well, as a way of giving them permission to do the same? Let's go with Jack and then Joy. Go ahead, Jack.
When someone is ill, we should not have expectations of them at all.
Yeah, if somebody's ill, we should have lower expectations of them. And I wonder if we can say it first person singular. When I am ill, I should have lower expectations of me.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Joy.
I've had to accept that I can no longer preach because my eyesight is giving way. Mm-hmm. And that has been very difficult to handle. I've come away from being a lay reader, being retired. I obviously did quite well because I got the honour of having emeritus after my lay reader now, and the certificate that goes with it, which I never expected. But I found it so difficult. And I found it very difficult to feel that I can't perform as well as I did.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, especially when we're used to doing things well and being seen for them. That all of a sudden now we're going to show people that we can't do that thing well. Thank you for sharing. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that when, in my view, when people are well, we should have lower expectations of them too. Like, this isn't all predicated on us being sick or us being compromised, in my view. Like, I really like the idea of, and this has been really healing for me, to just be curious about how well I'm going to do. Be curious about how well other people are going to do. Give them permission to be a little less today. Give them permission to be a little more today. Yeah. And not attach so much to the expectation of an outcome.
How many of us expect things to go perfectly all the time? And then don't answer that, because I'm afraid the answer is like all of us. Folks, ain't we old enough to know better?
Apparently not.
Yeah. Apparently we're still learning this one. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I'm going to change topics for a moment. I'd like you in the chat to type something in, and you don't need to hit enter. I just want you to open up the chat window and be prepared to type something in, but you don't need to hit enter. And I'm going to ask everyone to type the same thing into the chat right now, which is the answer to the question, when was the last time you made a mistake and what was it? So type into the chat, when was the last time you made a mistake and what was it? And again, you don't have to hit enter. We'll all hit enter at the same time or not. But this way, all of these will go up at the same time. So take a minute. When was the last time you made a mistake and what was it? And this is a funny question to ask because then it's on you to figure out how open and honest do you want to be.
Can't find the chat room.
Okay, well, then that would be the mistake right now. When was the last time you made a mistake and what was it? And ready? Are we ready enough to hit enter? Can I see some? Yeah? Okay, so everyone on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead. Last time you made a mistake and what was it? And there they all start coming in. There's a bunch of them. Wow, look at that. I'm going to read a few out loud. Last night, ate more than I needed. Monday, I let a boundary be overstepped. Preparing somebody's pills. I stopped one lane further than I should have. I gave someone information that was incorrect at work. Too much caffeine this morning. I did not collect all the information I needed on a survey yesterday. Okay. Lots of them. Deleted the service Zoom link. Yeah. Here's the next question. So we've all made mistakes.
Yeah.
How easily can we forgive ourselves for having made these mistakes? And then the question that's really under it is, what's keeping us? And there's a quote, I copied it. I'm going to put it. The mistakes themselves are what's keeping us in trouble. Hold on.
No, they're keeping us alive.
Here's a quote by... Somebody give me a pronunciation on the name Gurdjieff.
Gurdjieff.
Gurdjieff. I gotta get a spelling on that.
Goethe.
No, that would be a different.
There it is.
Gurdjieff.
Gurdjieff said this, and it is not the right quote for the moment, but I thought it was the right quote when I put this together.
He was
made a mistake.
I did. He said,
Can't read it.
Hold on, I'm working on it, buddy. I'm working on it.
You're always working on it.
It is very difficult to sacrifice one's suffering. A person will renounce any pleasures you like, but will not give us their suffering. Let's take a moment with that one.
It's a very persistent poem.
Yeah. It's difficult to sacrifice one's suffering. So I think what he's saying here, and Bob, I'll get to you in a second. I think what he's saying here is that we don't forgive ourselves because we enjoy it. Bob, what do you got your hand up? Help out, bud.
Yeah, I think that sometimes we can look at mistakes as being something negative that we need to avoid.
Yeah. I tend to do that a lot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But that the reality is that we don't make progress unless we make mistakes. And that it's only, I find in my life, that it's by making mistakes, I learn what not to do and what to do better.
Bob, that is damn brilliant.
I like
That's
that.
why Bob lets me come to Sunday meetings.
That it is because we make mistakes that we learn, that we grow. It's because of the mistakes that we learn and we grow. That we wouldn't learn and grow if we didn't make the mistakes.
Right. And I can't have expectations about whether or not other people are going to make mistakes, because I don't know what their life experience is going to be.
They're going to make mistakes. I'm pretty sure of it.
Right.
And then do we have within us the ability to forgive them their trespasses as we forgive ourselves for trespassing against? We make mistakes, they make mistakes.
Speaking of mistakes.
Yeah.
I like that.
The important part of that is forgiving ourselves for being upset at making a mistake.
Right. And that's that. Thank you, Bob. And that nails us into this quote. That at what point do we hold on to our mistakes like with pride, in a proud that we shouldn't hold on to?
I think depending on what it is, sometimes it's a lot harder than other times.
It is definitely true, Joy. There are days and there are days. There are days that it's easier to make mistakes. There are days it's harder.
Just spell it with a Z.
I do.
So I'm going to ask us to go into small rooms. We're going to go into breakout rooms. Alex, if I did it right, I have already hosted you so you can turn us into breakout rooms. We're going to go into rooms of 5 people, and you're going to have 6 minutes. And the topic is me and mistakes. Not me, you.
Let's all talk about the Rabbi.
Or you could do me and mistakes. That's fine. But the topic is mistakes, and how easily you forgive yourself your mistakes, how easily you forgive yourself for being at 83 to 87% and missing. That's our top. Alex, how are we doing on setting up rooms? There are the rooms. You're going to have 6 minutes to be in these rooms. And if you join those rooms now, and we'll see you again in 6 minutes time.
No, I don't want to share.
If you're on a phone, it will automatically drop you into a room, or it's supposed to. Karen, did we get you into a room? And I do have our Facebook friends. There we have Shirley is saying good morning from Facebook. She can't go to a breakout room.
Yeah, I think Karen is frozen.
Okay. Well, Alex, it's you, me, and everybody who's watching live on Facebook, and Scott. Hi, Scott.
Hey.
It's us for a few minutes. How are the rooms looking?
It looks like we've got room 1's got 5, room 2's got 5, but one of them didn't go in. Room 3 has 5 active, 4 has 5 active.
Good.
5 has 4 active, 6 has 5 active, 7 has 5 active. Or that one looks like that one's got 2. 7's got 2 in it.
I'm gonna go join 7 if it's only got 2 people then.
Yeah.
One's beloved. I look at the face of hypocrisy and I shudder. And I look at the face of dishonesty and I cringe. I feel like shouting to the skies, how could they even speak with tongue like butter? Their minds so hyped with ego's syringe. But who am I to break the spell of illusion's thrall? and spoil the moment of others' captivation. And puncture this hypocrisy with sharpened awl, to sever dishonesty with verbal emasculation. O lover, judge not such ignorance on anyone's part. You do, and you do, and you know not what you do. Just forgive. Forgive from the very start. For with this, there's less impressions to rue. Oh, I know, beloved, but I must daily face this test and look into eyes that know you know what's right, but refuses to listen to his heart's own guest. So I sigh once more and close my mirrored medicine chest and gently turn off the overhead light. Oh, Ambrose, awareness is a harbinger of things forgiven. And always see yourself in others' lives. Doing this, you will always be driven to seek forgiveness in others' eyes. That's it.
I like the thing about piercing egos and, the idea of judging others being so wrapped up in ego and emasculation. And
oh, for sure.
yeah.
It's amazing. Every day, I mean, my partner and I, we watch the politics of things on MSNBC, and no matter who's up there, you can just feel the ego trying to put itself out there and say, look at me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very discouraging, but that's life. Like it is life that's happening right now. And it's hard for both of us to take a backseat to it all and realize that this is meant to happen and it will happen and it must happen. So that's where I'm at on all of this.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's really an inward journey, this whole thing of, self-forgiveness, to not be so focused on what's going on outside, either things I caused or things other people caused.
True. Yeah. It's one of the, as I mentioned before, the inner life is the greatest journey you could ever take.
Yep.
It's sad how my ego does make me want to believe that it is really all about me and I'm really important, and truly ain't nobody gives a shit.
Well, I do.
Well, okay.
I do,
with a little asterisk with the slight exception.
Well, if we didn't, we wouldn't be here doing what we're doing right now.
Truly.
Yeah.
Amen.
Truly.
It's
I had a Buddhist teacher who said, Brian, always remember there are 100 million Chinese people who don't give a shit about you.
Yes. 3 billion.
Maddie, don't.
Well, welcome back from breakout groups. I'd love. Is there something that was there an aha moment? Was there a something that hit you that was said in your group that you thought, gosh, everyone should hear that? That was a great idea. I'm gonna ask you to think for a moment. What was it that was shared in your group? Go ahead, Patricia and Mason.
A couple of things, actually. One was turning a mistake into something positive. You spill something on the floor, good, time to clean up the floor. Also, there was an incident described that involved a youth, an older person, an aunt with her niece, and the niece made an observation on traffic speed. And so it's kind of who you are influencing. So those two things, turning a mistake around and who it is you're actually involved with the mistake.
Yeah. It's hard to turn mistakes around. That's what Bob was talking about, but that mistakes are how we grow. I find that so bizarre, so strange, is that the way I learn best is by making mistakes. Ironically, I try so hard to keep from making any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you don't get anything done.
Thank you. Go ahead, Marcus.
The one thing that we talked about in our group is that I heard is it's easier to to give forgiveness and show grace to others when they make mistakes versus ourselves. But then someone mentioned that we're human too.
Yeah.
So it's okay to give ourselves that grace and forgiveness, but it's difficult.
It is. It is. It's also easier to forgive somebody. It's sometimes easier to forgive another person than it is to forgive ourselves. But isn't it always easier to forgive someone when they're groveling and they're saying, oh my God, I made such a horrible mistake? It's a lot harder to forgive someone who says, that's on you.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing those up, Marcus. Thank you. Go
It
ahead,
helps
Eileen.
me. It helps me when I acknowledge the mistake, the wrong that I've done, if I can.
Yeah. And then to do this all internally within our own head of saying, I made a mistake and I need to forgive myself. Go ahead, Eileen, and then Finn.
I was just going to mention in our group, it also came up that we need to accept help from others. We're so willing to help other people, and we're not willing to ask for help when we need it. And it makes us feel good to help others, so we need to let others feel that too when we need help. It's hard to do.
Absolutely. I am doing a great job of giving my neighbors the opportunities to help me.
Good.
And it's totally, and I know exactly where I'm stuck on it is I usually go shopping and I buy, a normal amount of groceries. I seem to be sending my neighbor friends who keep asking, is there anything you need? And like, yeah, bread flour. Like I am sending them to the store for just one thing. And I'm trying to not feel guilty about that. That like, had I just remembered, I also need plastic wrap. But I haven't told any neighbor that yet because I didn't think of it until I need plastic wrap. But just asking people to do little favors to be of a little bit of help. It's a hard thing. Go ahead, Finn. Sorry, I babbled on a little there.
In our group, Rob was saying we just need to take ourselves less seriously, and I think that's great. As a mini example, taking transit. Sorry, as my phone's going. I used to be all embarrassed if I started to fall or something, but everyone does that. It's transit. And so I've started to giggle at myself a little bit. It's just a little baby steps.
Yeah. And even not getting horribly upset when your phone rings while you're talking. Right? It's those little things. No. Apology not accepted on that one. You were already forgiven. It's how well can we, and this is how well, when the little thing goes wrong, are you able to forgive yourself? And if you're not, how well able are you to forgive yourself for not yet forgiving yourself? It's this thing that Larry talked about a few weeks ago of that all creatures feel, but we have the ability, and it might be a curse, to feel about how we're feeling. And how easily can we forgive ourselves for not forgiving ourselves? Because at some point we can forgive ourselves for that, and it can start to melt the whole thing down. It's not so easy to do. Okay, 83 to 87%. And somebody pointed out, I got a message, hey, it's like that newsletter is the 77%. Yeah, that was the whole point of that. The whole point of the newsletter being 77% was to remind me that don't try so hard. Stop working yourself so hard. What are you trying to prove, and to whom? And why? It's okay. A B+ is fine.
No, that's good.
A B- is fine. Because it's pass-fail, folks.
Yeah.
Emmett's school, they round all the grades, or at some point they did. So you couldn't get an A+, you could only get an A. You couldn't get an A-, you could only get an A. And I told him at one, he had like a 98%. I said, son, you worked too hard. You did it wrong. You only needed a 91.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
So here's our homework.
Probably enough.
Here's our homework assignment. This week, do what I just did. Put it out there. When my first therapist, Dr. Victor Morton, he double dog dared me to hand in a paper in rabbinical school that wasn't good.
Did you do it?
So I did. Well, because he double dog dared me, man. He was my therapist like this. So I handed in, I can still remember the layout of that particular classroom. And I remember the teacher collecting the papers. And I remember clear as day, everybody staring at me, looking at the paper. Now, obviously, I'm full of shit. Nobody's paying any attention except for me. But I'm holding the paper in my hand, knowing full well this is not the best quality I could ever hand in. And I'm certain everybody, and I get it back. I get it, like, it was pass-fail. I passed. Yay, hooray. It was life-changing. Nobody cared. So I'm going to give us all this homework this week. Don't do it well.
The reason why you passed is because you achieved your objective.
Yeah. Rags, this doesn't sound comfortable to you.
Not even a little bit. I have a perfectionist streak about.
Okay, well, here's ironically the homework assignment, and the only way to get an A on this homework assignment is to get a C.
I see.
Oh, I see a few other heads of some of my nerdy friends who are. I don't you think I don't see you? I see you, because this is what you're doing with your head right now. I see you. You're doing this.
No, that's us who are the C's.
No, I know who it is, because it's a guy I play chess with. I see that face. I see a few of you.
I grabbed it and I seized it.
Good. So our homework assignment this week is to not be perfect. And I'll thank you all. I have my proof. And look, I had good knowledge going in. I know this group. I know that you ought to all forgive me. But still, I had to say, fuck it. That's my whole outline. That's what I'm going with.
We got to see you.
And you got to see it.
You could have stayed home and said you're on your own.
Right.
Glad you're here.
And I could have stayed up late last night, and I could have gotten up early this morning, and I could have prepared more. But you know what? I didn't, and I took a chance. And I took a chance at 83 to 87%, and it was fine. And I'm going to make that the challenge for all of us for this week. I'm going to show all your faces on the screen again. Hold on a second so we can all say a goodbye. There's everybody. Everyone wave.
Bye, everyone.
We're going to continue for the next hour if you'd like. There are going to be different groups going on.